14th day of 31. Hashtag 31 days of we. We as in women empowerment. Happy Women's History Month. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and talk about this very critical information because there's a lot of confusion about credit out there. Of course, if you are not credit educated, credit can become overwhelming and be it can seem complicated, but it really is not that complicated. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to talk about this just so we can get clear of how is this work? Like, how does this work? What is the deal with this whole thing? Why does my credit score go down when I just paid off all of my credit cards? It drops 28 points. WTF? So basically, you guys, as a individual out there listening to this, obviously this is not your exact case. So it's relative to your credit profile and your exact data points. So I just want to make that disclaimer out there that not everybody's credit is going to be impacted the same exact way. So, sorry, I'm kind of adjusting my microphone here because it was way too low and I was slouching. All right. If you don't know me, now you do. My name is Kareen Mills. It rhymes with bills, dollar dollar bills. You know the one. I'm a financial educator empowering women to get rich. And part of the journey of getting rich is getting rich in credit education, getting rich in financial education. And of course, from the bottom of my heart, and I hope from the bottom of your heart as well, money is just a tool, right? Money should generate multiple streams of impact. And that's why I say I empower women to get rich and give. So, that question, like, I paid off all of my credit cards to zero and score drops to 28 points. WTF? Let's dive deep into this because credit is such a curveball, and if you're not credit educated, it can get very, very complicated and misunderstood a lot. But credit is actually really simple. Here's the lowdown. Paying off your credit cards in full can sometimes cause a temporary dip in your credit score. Keyword temporary. Don't stress, it's all part of a credit game. And you just really have to understand that credit is a game. There's no two ways about it. And if it's a game, you are the player. And in order to play the game beautifully and win, you have to know how to play this game. So sometimes when you pay off credit cards, depending on when you pay it off in the month, it can take up to 45 days to 90 days to adjust your credit accordingly. And it may have backlog information. There's a lag effect when it comes to reporting on your credit. So maybe you just paid it off like Saturday or Sunday, especially on the weekend. Financial institutions don't post anything on the weekend, meaning they don't process anything on the weekend. When there's a holiday, they don't process anything. And maybe this was just an effect of a prior situation rather than what you just did, unless you've waited long enough. That's what it could be. And here are some of the tips of likely what happened. Those are literally just coming out of my head when I said it earlier. Technically, there's 5 factors of credit. And we're going to talk about the 3 factors today. Number 1, your utilization rate may have shifted. Your credit utilization ratio may have shifted unexpectedly, affecting your score temporarily. And the thing about credit is the most optimized. You hear a lot about the 30% or less utilization percentage, but really the most optimized percentage is 5% or less. So if you want to achieve a higher credit score, which by the way, If you have 750 and above, anything above 750 is just kind of like bragging rights. If you apply for a mortgage, anything above 740 is the best rate you can get. There's no other best rate. So I'm just saying, like, anything above that, mid 700s, is just bragging rights. So this is why it's important to learn and not be afraid to learn about credit, because many times we're so afraid to learn about it. We're so afraid to get credit cards, to have a higher limit because we know ourselves so much. But that's where your discipline comes in. That's where your responsibility and reliability comes in. That's where you make a commitment on your behavior, because the higher your credit limit, the lower your utilization, or the more you have at the 5% level. For example, if you have 100,000 credit limit total in total credit cards, it could be 10 total credit cards. It could be 20, I don't care. If you have 100,000 cumulative, you need, in order to optimize that, you need to cycle 5% of that, which is only $5,000. But if you have a million, 5% of a million is larger than 5% of 100. And that's why you should not be afraid to have a lot of credit limits, because it manages your utilization so much better when you have a higher day-to-day expense every single month total. Where you need to make the commitment is not to have credit card debts. Pay it off every month. Have some discipline. Don't spend more than you earn, or don't spend more than you make. That's where all the behaviors come in, right? Number 2, credit mix impact. And I have a training here down there somewhere in the shuffle that talks a lot about these in details. So make sure you find that training. But mix impact is also part of the factors that affects your credit score. Closing, I'm not assuming that you close your account in this situation, but closing accounts or paying off certain types of debt can impact your credit mix, influencing your credit score. Credit mix, while it's a smaller factor in the pie chart, it's still a factor that can contribute to that drop in your credit score. So, again, I have a training here that's going to dive deep for you in terms of these factors so you can understand. And really, these are the only 5 factors you need to know when it comes to credit to simplify everything. That's why I say credit is actually really simple. And sometimes it's just a matter of seasoning your credit, which means time lapse. And you can't speed up time lapse. You just have to go through the flow. Number 3, credit age factors. Changes in account age or activity can also play a role in score fluctuations. And when I say seasoning, this is what it's talking about. The age with which, how long you've had the credit in your credit report. Because it's not just about the score, it also has a lot to do about your credit report, aka profile. Some of you may have a higher score out there, but the age or the profile that you have is super thin. Some of you may have a lower than preferable score out there, but the profile that you have is like 20, 25 years old. That actually gives you cookie points, a lot of cookie points. Even if you may have some sort of a negative on your credit or a lot of inquiries. And inquiries really, unless you run your credit like 100 times a year, then it'll affect you. But if you only run your credit like once or twice or 3 times a year for special things that you need or you're planning with your finances, then you should be fine as long as the rest are good, are in good shape. So those are the 3 things that I want to talk about today out of the 5 factors. But fear not, my friend. It is temporary. Sometimes it's just timing, and maybe you just paid it off a week ago. Remember, credit reporting has a lag, usually 30 to 60 days. So if you keep that at zero balance and don't use it again until after 60 days, potentially your credit's going to start going up. Because I didn't look at your entire profile and I did not look at the details, I cannot give you any of these specific advice. The dip is often short lived, and your score should bounce back stronger than ever. The only thing I want to leave you with tonight is that do not let it go dormant. And dormant means not using your credit or your credit cards for more than 12 months. Because what happens is when you let it go dormant more than 12 months, the credit card company and the financial institutions, they're going to shut it down. And remember, when they shut it down, it's going to affect your number one here, which is utilization rate or percentage, because your credit limit when you close an account will go down, and the lower your credit limit is, the more negative impact you'll have on your credit score. The higher your credit limit is and the lower the percentage of the use that you use cumulatively, the better it is, the healthier it is for your credit score. So at the end of the day, debts and playing this credit game is part of the American dream. They want all of us to play. We got to pay to play. And this is just what it is. Keep up the great work, everybody, on your financial journey. And let's stay positive and keep crushing those goals together. Make sure that you share this video to anybody you love, friends, family, and colleagues, and even your community if you have a community. Be sure to subscribe below Kareen Mills for more trainings so that you can be notified. Ring the bell to always, and let me know what you think. Hey, listen, I have this thing called Raw, Rich Anonymous Women, where financial independence meet girl power. And that is my private community housed in a Facebook group. If you need business strategy, financial questions answered, any sort of attention more than just a YouTube live, that's where you would need to go. All the resources are down there in the links. I have a massive amount of links down there to resource for you so that you can kind of breeze through it and check it out. I love you, women. Thank you for being here. And I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is the 15th of 31 days. And I'm telling you, I'm enjoying this. I'm loving it. And I am loving delivering you some value every single day in March. And maybe maybe if you are kind to me, if you're kind enough to share this in your platforms, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, to your friends and family, to your community, to your clients, maybe I'll do it every day again in the month of April. How's that? You think we can do that? So please share it to the world because it does make a difference when you have credit knowledge. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.